So Leader Kern mentioned the tragedy in my district Friday night. And Mike Clayton, Coles County board member, and his wife, Gail, were both killed by an illegal drunk driver who had a magazine, extended mag, ammunition, drugs, and of course alcohol in his car. 2 others from my district were life-flighted with life-threatening injuries. They are expected to survive. And yet, this provides a real-time case study in what will happen if this bill passes. Because here's why. And by the way, Leader, I don't want to quibble with you, but while Mike was from Coles County and was on the county board there, it was Clark County, the next county down, where this occurred. And so was the Clark County Sheriff. And the next morning, Pacheco was detained pending the homicide, reckless homicide charge, aggravated DUI and all that. But his passenger, who was with him, also illegal, walked out the front door under the Trust Act, under the existing Trust Act. If this bill passes, he would get a 1,000-foot head start on ICE. As it was a somewhat orderly transition. He still wasn't in handcuffs. He was not handed in handcuffs, which would have been the safest way to do it, over. But instead, he'll get a 1,000-foot head start. Well, that's great for safety. Let's get a foot chase going. Whose car are you gonna attempt to hijack? Whose store are you gonna break into? Whose home are you gonna break into in your foot chase as you're being chased by ICE because you got a 1,000-foot head start? Here's what the Coles County Sheriff did say about the existing Trust Act. And I think he was actually very guarded in his words. He says, "I'm very frustrated with this legislation, and my colleagues in law enforcement, both local and statewide, share that frustration. Local law enforcement's hands will remain tied unless and until the General Assembly repeals or amends the Trust Act." But here, we're actually expanding it. We're going to give the bad guys a 1,000-foot head start and keep our police handcuffed. I will say this, and I'm being about as reserved as I can possibly be under the circumstances. Mike and Gail are at least the 5th and the 6th in East Central Illinois in the last couple of years have been killed by an illegal in our area. By the way, I don't even know why these 2 guys were in Clark County the other night. The road they were on, literally, unless you grew up there, no one even know that road exists. It's the back road, the back way to Terre Haute for those of us who grew up in Charleston, live in Charleston. Unless you're going to KZ or Terre Haute, there's no reason to even be on that road. What were 2 guys with ammunition, drugs, doing on that road in the middle of the night? But never mind that for a minute. Gail, Mike were 5 and 6. This week, lo and behold, Julio Bull, an illegal from Guatemala, who killed 2 young ladies, Chloe from Deerfield and Katie from Glenview, as he flew high speed down University Avenue in Champaign County, was sentenced. He got 30 years. 30 years for taking Chloe and Katie's lives. I don't really consider that a fair trade. What I want to come back to is what Leader Kern said. Imagine what would happen if we just cooperated. Imagine if we all realized there's some really bad people here that need to leave. Imagine if we acted like adults, like what's going on in Tennessee where there's cooperation. We're actually taking bad guys and guns off the streets. What about D.C.? Everybody when D.C. was all upset. Well, now they got safe streets, the crime's down, they've taken tons and tons of guns off the streets. And yet here we are making things worse in Illinois. We can't keep sticking our head in the sand, folks. And I'll tell you what, and I say this with all due respect to some of the former speakers, and I do say it with respect. I will fight for Mike Clayton and Gail Clayton, Katie, Chloe, and everybody else, because this is insane. And I'm not gonna give somebody a 1,000-yard head start, 1,000-foot head start to flee ICE detention, which is only gonna make things less safe. How many think, oh, yep, here I am. I'll just walk the 1,000 feet right over to the ICE as you stand on the other side of that bright red 1,000-foot line. Here I am, handcuff me. Or do you think what will happen? Will they take off running? Once you have a foot chase, you've got a real problem, because now you're putting everybody else's lives in danger. Every vehicle, every person in a vehicle around it, every homeowner around it, every business around it, the law enforcement officers, the courthouse staff, the people in the courthouse. Now, you know what? Sheriff Brown down in Clark County, he doesn't deserve the heat he's getting from the constituents who are wondering why he let the second guy with the ammo and the drugs walk out the door. He doesn't deserve that. All he was doing was following the law that you passed, and the law that you're now to make 1,000 foot worse. Y'all, we got to get reality here. There's got to be a gut check and a reality check. We cannot handcuff our police while letting the bad guys get 1,000 foot head start. And I will not be silent when I've got at least 6 and nobody wants to, oh, no big deal. We'll tell that to Mike's brother, Chris.